Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, and welcome to our Value Chain Innovation Speaker Series. My name is Barchi Gilai, and I'm the Associate Director of the Value Chain Innovation Initiative at Stanford Graduate School of Business. Today, we're excited to host two guest speakers from JD.com, which is China's largest retailer by revenue and a leading technology and service provider with supply chain at its core. Our speakers are Professor Max Shen, who is the Chief Scientist and a Vice President at JD.com, in addition to being the Vice President and Pro-Vice Chancellor at the University of Hong Kong, and Dr. Yongzhi Qi, who is the company's Technical Director of Supply Chain Algorithms and also serves as a guest professor at the University of Hong Kong. Together, they will provide an overview of the AI-driven supply chain optimization solutions the company has developed. They will also highlight the powerful capabilities enabled by integrating AI with operations research methodologies and share their perspectives on the key prerequisites for successful AI implementations. Moderating the discussion is Haim Mendelson, who is a professor at the Stanford Graduate School of Business and the Faculty Director of the Value Chain Innovation Initiative.
Thank you very much, Barchi. Max and Yongzhi, it's a great pleasure to have you with us. Let's go ahead with your presentation, and everybody is welcome to ask questions during the presentation using the Q&A box. What I'll then do is combine these questions with my own questions to moderate the discussion. This is a very interesting topic, and we may well have more questions than time to answer all of them, so we apologize in advance if some of the questions don't show up in the discussion. Thank you very much. And go ahead, please.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here today. It is a great honor to have the opportunity to share with you some exciting developments in the field of supply chain optimization. Today's presentation will be a joint effort between Professor Shen and our team. I will start by covering the first part of our discussion, which provides an overview of JD.com and set some background. Then Professor Shen will take over to dive deeper into the specific application of AI. We are excited to share our insights with you today and look forward to a fruitful discussion. I will now begin with the first part of our presentation. The first question is, who is JD.com? JD.com is also known as Jingdong or JD. Jingdong is the largest retailer by revenue in China, and we are also a leading supply chain-based technology and service provider. We serve about 600 million users, and we have over 10 million products in our first-party retail business. Our operations are supported by more than 1,500 self-operated warehouses, and we are proud to fulfill over 19% of orders on the same day or the next day. As for our inventory, we maintain a 13-day turnover, ensuring high efficiency in our operations. In 2024, our net revenue exceeded $115 billion, reflecting the scale and the success of our business. However, with such an extensive network and wide-ranging operations, we encounter numerous challenges. They include fluctuating demand, particularly during peak shopping events like the June 18 Shopping Festival, the China's largest e-commerce festival that unleashes massive customer demand and pose significant challenges to our supply chain operations. Facing such big promotion periods, we need to commence preparations months in advance. Updating our forecasts and plans. This involves assessing the impact of various promotions on demand, coordinating with the suppliers on production and inventory, and striving to meet the customer needs while diligently avoiding overstock situations. JD.com boasts a diverse range of business operations. We have our retail business, we have our logistical business, As well, we have technology infrastructure like our cloud service. For instance, JD retail company focus on the retail sector, providing a platform that connects brands and customers, serving over 600 million users. JD Logistics offers delivery services, ensuring that goods sold to customers are delivered swiftly and efficiently. JD Technology provides foundational service and solutions such as cloud services and financial services. Of course, we also have JD Property, JD Health, and other business segments. JD ecosystem thrives on cross-sector innovations, turning supply chain more efficient. Okay, let's look at the conventional supply chain model, which has been the backbone of many industries for years. The traditional supply chain process involves several key stages: the marketing, the planning, inventory, and the fulfillment. I think conventional supply chains often face challenges such as fragmented systems, manual processes, and a lack of trusted data. These limitations can lead to inefficiencies, miscommunication, and slow response times. Supply chains are inherently integrated process, and many companies aspire to manage them as a unified system. However, existing system capabilities often fall short of this goal. Typically, supply chains are divided into multiple segments, with each segment handled by the same department through online or offline communication and operations. Each operation relies on separate systems, making it difficult to ensure comprehensive alignment and flow of data and information between these systems. As we move forward, our system will become more interactive, integrated, and collaborative. It is an AI-based system that leverages artificial intelligence, such as planning, replenishment, and order fulfillment. One of the key advantages of this system is its ability to dynamically combine these capabilities based on the specific needs of the users, ensuring that we can achieve global optimization across the entire supply chain, whether when it is adjusting inventory, fulfilling orders, or optimizing the flow of goods. The system can quickly adapt to changing demands. In the future, the user's requests will no longer be handled through traditional interfaces. Instead, all interactions will be carried out through a chatbot here within the systems, enabling a more intuitive and efficient way for users to communicate their needs. The system will be able to understand and respond to these requests in real time, providing its solutions that are fully coordinated and optimized. This new approach will make our supply chain more agile and responsive, allowing us to improve efficiencies and better meet customer demands in a rapidly changing market. Now, Prof. Shen will share the second part of the AI applications we are exploring.
Okay, thank you, Yongzhi, for the introduction. So, for folks, I think you probably, for the Stanford folks and also for the Silicon Valley folks, JD.com used to be a neighbor. We were at Mountain View a few years ago. I think we also have interactions with Stanford student and business school during that time. But now most of the technical people move back to Beijing. So if you don't really understand JD.com, I can just give you a simple example. So JD, you can think of JD as Amazon plus UPS, and now even plus DoorDash, because we are entering into the food delivery business now. So it's really a huge company. We have hundreds of thousands of people working for JD.com. And as Yongzhi mentioned here, when I start working with GD.com, we have a lot of very traditional planning, forecasting, optimization problems. But recently, we are really proud of this AI technology, especially this chatbot thing. Because if you look at the whole supply chain as shown in the PowerPoint, it's really important to have a good forecasting, and then you have to have interactions. Otherwise, all the stakeholders will not be on the same page. So this interactive communication, explaining why we make decisions this way or that way, and then eventually come up with a system optimization is really, really important for all companies. So let me dive deeper into some of these planning tools. So in fact, this is the second part. This is kind of the interactive part. And also, one of the problems we have working as a supply chain optimizer is that sometimes it's really difficult to do this because you need to write code and then collect data and then run something and then explain to people. But now with our AI chatbot, we can actually just type in some questions, or even better, you can just say it. You can just say that, what is my inventory level for some products? And then what is my future sales for the next 3 months? And then our AI tools will go to different databases, different planning algorithms to answer these questions. So this is, I don't have time to go into all the details, but once you enter something to the chatbot window, it will start to kind of understand your question. Is this a one sentence or two sentence? Do you have what if? What exactly are you looking for? And then we'll call different agents. The agents I mentioned before, including forecasting, inventory planning, optimization. There are thousands of these different agents, and then they will work together to come up with the answers to your question. So so that's the interactive part. I just want to show the exciting part. But before that, we also have to do a very good forecasting so that different units, different departments can be on the same page. And this is something that we are really proud of too, because we do have a lot of private data on our platform. We have 600 million active users, right? So this users' activity generate so many private but very rich data for us to analyze. And we also get a lot of public data from the weather, the market trading, the tariff war, all these kind of things, because this will influence our sales and forecasting. And then actually, very interestingly, we want to talk about this synthetic data. This is actually some data we dive deeper into all of our past transactions. And then we learn from these transactions. We understand why some of the actions achieve better results. And then those kind of data will be used for future forecasting generation, future optimization. So in the end, I think it's a kind of a teamwork among different engineers. We have team that work on data cleaning, just get the data ready for business and also for engineering, for algorithm engineering. And then we try to make the data richer and richer to eventually have better results. So just this is what I just said earlier, but I just want to show you that now we also have the self-learning capability. So as I introduced in my last slide, we did this all by ourselves at the beginning. But then when AI tool pick up what we learned from historical data, they can try to do self-learning. So in the end, we have almost a 15% increase in the prediction accuracy. And we actually have a technical paper on this, where we talk about all the details, how we use the patch neural network? How do we actually find the patterns among different products, different neighbors? All these details are in the paper. I can share with you later. So let me just give you a couple of examples. What we talked about earlier. We talk about interactive. We talk about forecasting. But in the end, you need to convince all the different stakeholders to use your results, right? So we typically face this problem that we have all the fancy tools, and then it spit out a number. This is the forecasting for iPhone 17, in the year 2027. But how do we get this number, right? Why people should trust you with this number? In the past, I think we were, all of us were pretty bad in explaining this because it's such a complex tool. You consider hundreds of different features, whether discount, marketing condition, what your competitor has been doing, is a holiday. All these things have to be considered. So you cannot explain clearly. The number 80 book was because of A and B, right? So, but this is not good because when you try to convince your sales people or your marketing people this number, you have to make them believe in this number, right? So, based on this background, actually we have this explainable AI now. The rough idea is to try to explain most of the factors, most of the important factors to all the stakeholders, so that they can kind of agree with you for your promotion plan or for your inventory planning. If you look on the right-hand side, normally for any products, right, you would have a baseline forecast. So this is mainly based on historical data or some of the intelligence you have. But then there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are many, many different factors will influence the final outcome. So we would do some kind of analysis to identify a few major factors. For example, is it promotion, seasonality, market training. We don't tend to have too many of them. Maybe just 5, 6, 7, that kind of numbers. Hopefully, this a few major factors can contribute to majority of the final forecasting quantity, right? So we list out all these numbers. We have a range for this, which is more accurate. We don't just spell out one number. We have a range, so that now if you put all the different teams for marketing, production, sales, transportation, they will understand, the movement from all these numbers, and then kind of agree with you the kind of rough number. And this is another example for the kind of explainable AI. In China, in fact, we have, as Yongzhi mentioned, we have so many holidays for e-commerce companies. We have 6/18, we have Double 11. November 11th is probably one of the largest festival for people to buy. It's even bigger than Black Friday. Yeah. So people just go online to buy, especially for your single friend. The reason we have November 11th is we have all the ones. That means you are one. You don't have your girlfriend or boyfriend or couple, right? So we feel pity on you, then we buy things for you. That's how we call Double 11 festival. But then it became such a phenomenal marketing event that we buy for everybody. Even you have a girlfriend or boyfriend. So this during this sales event, a lot of companies on our platform actually have a target. They say, I want to sell 5 million. The other company may have 10 million or 3 million, whatever. They come up with this number, right? Then they will come work with us to see how they can reach this number, right? So, we look at historical performance. That's kind of the demand baseline. So for this particular example, with 8 million there, right? So if this company can want to sell for 10 million, then we will have to come up with a strategy for them, right? So with 8 million, we think this is not enough. There might be demand fluctuation, which is in the order of 1 million. And then we have to rule out promotion strategies. So we would come up with 3 different strategies, right? Plan S, Plan A, Plan B, all with different outcomes, but also with different costs. So you can see that promotion Plan S actually can move your sales up by 1.5 million. And then promotion Plan B only give you 0.5 million, right? So you know, we would then present this kind of strategy to this company, and then you know we will also analyze the weather, for example, rainstorm, sport events, you know, many other things, and then we will give them 3 options, right? The plan 1 and 2 and 3. So basically, they have you know, one of the plan have very high sales. And this is maybe what they wanted, but also they have to spend more money on this, right? So you know, we just present all these things to them. They will come along with us. Otherwise, you just tell them, look, oh, you want 10 million? No problem. You pay me $500,000, I will give you 10 million. They won't believe in you. But now with this kind of analysis, things become much easier to communicate. So let me move on to, let me see. Why it's not moving? Okay. So now this is the 3rd problem I mentioned, right? The optimization part. You know, many of you, hopefully many of the audience know optimization, what I'm talking about. So, you know, for truck delivery, for inventory planning, all this you need to optimize your resources and then achieve the maximal outcome benefit, right? But in the past, you know, whichever company you work for, you have to write so many codes and clean so many data and feed all these things to the optimization engine. And you probably need maybe a PhD or a master's degree from Stanford to do this. But you know, the problem with this, there are many problems with this approach. First of all, it's so kind of difficult to do this, right? You need to write the code, and you have to write an elegant code, and you have to run fast. Otherwise, you wait for the solution for 3 days. It doesn't mean anything. And then kind of you need to have the right kind of data to fit into this optimization model. If your data is garbage, then your outcome won't be very good. Thirdly, you know, many of the parameters you have to kind of take a guess. It's not really kind of dynamic, real time. So even though you solve the problem, sometimes you cannot convince people on the ground to use these results. So now with our interactive OR, operation research, and large language platform, we can real-timely fine-tune all these data inputs and solutions, so that you know, we don't need a Stanford PhD. I think anybody can say that your wish can do this. For example, you want to say that I want to give you an example first. So for example, you have several warehouses and you want to basically place an order of 1,000 units, and then each warehouse have a capacity and you know, the cost of transporting and storage at different locations are also different, right? So this is a very typical optimization problem. And then, as I mentioned earlier, you can, you know, a PhD from a top school can write this and then solve the problem. But you know, the problem is, first of all, writing the code is difficult. Secondly, you know, all these parameters may not be very accurate. You know, based on what kind of truck you are getting from the market, you know, the cost might be different too. You know. So all these things, don't worry, we can actually go back to this chat box. Just say, look, I have this situation, and please find a plan for me to order 1,000 units and put into my warehouses using the cheapest method, right? So with this, it will convert your English into mathematical model. with a mathematical model, then AI can automatically generate the code for the problem, and then it will go directly grab the data that are useful for this particular problem, and then solve the problem with the solution. And in fact, you can also make what-if analysis. So this is what AI is very good at. You can just say that, oh, by the way, I think the capacity in one of the warehouses is changing to this number, or the truck deliver food product to one of the warehouses is broken down, or things like that. You can quickly resolve the problem. So I guess so. This is what I just mentioned before, all the details. So I guess my time is running out. I'll just quickly summarize, kind of share with you, in the past few years how we achieve all this. I think it's really important to have a good team, and that's why we located our tech R&D center next to Stanford a few years ago. And then there, I think we have roughly 200 people with PhD from Stanford, MIT, Berkeley. And then now I think, even though we're back in Beijing, we're still looking for talented people to work on these interesting e-commerce problems. And then it's really, really important to have the leadership change to accommodate AI. Because you probably all know that algorithm engineer might come up with a very good algorithm, but he or she might have a really hard time selling this to marketing people, procurement team. Now we actually in GD.com we have this organizational change, very flat. So we'll have the engineer, whatever engineer, working directly with the business side. Whoever can make the money will have the say, right? So I think now with this flattening organization, the AI engineer can link directly the performance of the algorithm to the outcome of the sales. If you can make a change, people will listen to you, and you will have the say in the business. And then to make this happen, as I mentioned before, I think GD have so much data for us to play, and then to train our big AI model. That's why our model become better and better. And also with different scenarios. We have hundreds of millions of different SKUs in our warehouses. So with so many different scenarios, we can just look at inventory problem. We can have classification on long tail products, frozen products, and some products that won't go until you have a sale. So there are all the different characteristics of these products, and we can have rich data for each scenario. And then actually you can, if you can see the picture, we work with Professor Holly from your school over the last few years on many of the GD problems. And then we have won several major awards from Informs, the Edelman Finalist Award. And last year we have the Inform Prize. This is the largest, the highest award for a organization that apply OR and data analytics to their daily problems. And then last year we also won the Wagner Prize. This is for the technical problems solving. Okay, so I cannot say enough for this, but at GD.com actually they go to different universities to hire, they call it genius, but basically smart kids, right? So I think that their pay is very high. I at one time I was tempted to join this team too, but with all these talents, they can actually work together, solve many of the hard problems, and then now they are looking for talents again. For anybody in the audience, if you have a smart kid, family or that can encourage them to apply to this program. So with that, I will quickly summarize. I think in the last few years, AI is coming at us, and people call this AI tsunami. It's just coming so fast. We are barely surviving. I think one of the important things is that you have to do a lot of trade-offs, right? You can't, I mean, there are a lot of big models, but it costs so much, and it's also not economic or environmentally friendly. So, but our belief is that you don't have to have those kinds of big models, right? You can actually have a kind of a small model that utilize your experience and your data to solve your problem. Of course, occasionally you might need to get help from those big models, but I think the key factor is that whether it's effective for your problem, and then whether it can run very efficient, very fast, and then how much it costs you, right? So we achieve a kind of a nice balance among these three major factors. That's why we are moving forward. The AI team, the team is growing, and I think it's bringing a lot of benefits to the company already. So with that, I guess I will stop here. I guess we are doing fine on time. I'll go back to Professor Mendelson.
Thank you very much. This is very interesting. And I'll start with a question from our audience, and people are invited to submit additional questions. The question is about live streaming, and the question is about what is JD's view on the future of live streaming as a customer interaction mode in China, and what is he doing about that?
Okay, so maybe I can talk about this. This is a phenomenon. I'm not sure, people in the Bay Area knows this, but in China, if you look pretty or you look ugly, whatever, if you attract audience, you can go on a show or whatever. You can sell, you can eat, or you can drink, or you can just sell some of the product. It has becoming a really big phenomena. I think actually at one time, probably last year or a couple of years ago, people were telling us that this kind of model will overtake JD.com because at one night you can have millions of dollars of sales, right? So we were quite worried, at that time. But then, if you look at the whole supply chain, I think this phenomena, I mean, it will still continue, but their supply chain, they don't have a supply chain, So for people who work on supply chain, this is a huge burden for everybody who work with them. Last month there's no sales. Then suddenly tonight, there are many of items need to be shipped out from different warehouses with working with a different company. So I think it's unless they figure out how to do this more efficiently, as I mentioned, performance, cost, and effectiveness has to be considered. I think, people in China, many people go with this kind of sales, right? Maybe at that night they buy something out of blue. I think they're being attracted by the looks of the people. But then they may regret, for daily life, right? You go to Costco, you buy things you need. That kind of sales, and many of my friends do that too. They end up in their own garage or another bedroom. I'm not sure how to look at this. I mean, for surely they are impacting our business. But I think now we are, even the CEO of JD.com did this too last year or earlier this year. It worked really well. So we will have to take the good parts of this phenomena, embed this into our supply chain. Without our powerful supply chain, I think for whoever are doing this, I don't think it's a very good business model. You look at one day you make millions, but maybe another day you don't make any money at all, right?
Great, thank you very much. Let's go into another area, which is the effect of AI on the larger organization. So we talked about the smaller organization that makes all of this happen, but given the capabilities of the technology, what happens is that there is going to be, at least in the future, a bigger impact on the structure of the entire organization, given the ability to automate many of the functions and to get very quick feedback So the whole structure is going to change to one where people work with AI to make decisions that were made by people earlier. So two questions. One is kind of what is your broader view on the organizational impact of these AI combined with OR models? And second, how is it going to affect JD, let's say, on a 5-year horizon?
Yes, I mean, this is a really important question. Thank you for asking. I think this is impacting every company, right? Many of the small firms were thinking about, putting out an AI team to do this too. But at JD.com, I think we have hundreds of people to do this. But we have the goal of maybe sharing some of our, results with smaller companies, medium-sized companies who actually work with us. We can share, with API, we can share some of the capabilities they can use, they can plug in our ecosystem and then do the things we just talked about. But for the whole company, I think we have to have a very effective leadership from the top. Whenever you have some new technology coming in, the resistance actually mainly comes from the leadership, because they don't know this, right? Many of the senior leadership, they have been in the business for 20, 30 years. They don't see these things. They are not confident. They will actually do this very slowly. But I think, fortunately enough, for JD.com, our senior management team is kind of embracing this opportunity, right? So that's why I think they are quickly hiring in different fronts of optimization, data analysts and AI people. How will this work? To be frank with you, they don't know how this will pan out, but they know this is the future, right? So for the R&D center in Mountain View a few years ago, as I mentioned earlier, we have 200 people. They have PhD from Stanford, MIT. They study computer science, double E, triple E, operation research, mathematics, even biology. They put people together. Similar culture is, if you look at Google and Amazon, these companies, they hire talents, right? With these talented people, and eventually we figure out, with the guidance from senior management, we figure out how to do this most efficiently. You probably know that, many of the companies spend a lot of money to buy, the hardware, but I think that's not the most important thing. The culture change, the people you hire into your organization is the key for you to go this route. In the worst case, even though you don't have all this, capability hardware, you can always use cloud service from other companies. So buying those hardware is not the most important thing. Training people, make them on the same page is very important. So I think that's the kind of the first part of your question. And secondly, I think with JD.com, we now have this culture that we need to look for more talents, right? So our CEO even was touring different universities, trying to hire people. So I think we are all ready. I think the post AI and optimization has been increasing steadily in the past. So it's a trend. We cannot avoid that. The competition is whether you can get the right kind of people to work for you.
Great, thank you very much. And let's talk about the smaller organization, the 200-person organization. What is the process that you go through to select people into the organization? And what are the types of attributes that you're looking for in an effective member of your organization, your 200-person organization?
Yeah, so I assume you're talking about a logistic or supply chain company, right? Because different company might be looking for different things. I think it's in all these companies, normally you have a forecasting team, you have a transportation team, you have an inventory team, sales team, right? And then another team more closely related to the business consumers. So for these 5 teams, I think when we look at this problem, we need to find somebody who can work with all these 5 teams. Not meaning that not that they can go there and do their daily work, but who can communicate with them well, right? So for example, we in our field too, we used to just hire IE, OM PhDs, but then recently we have many of the companies have hired computer scientists, right? So why we do that? Because these people actually change our thinking process, right? They tell us it's very important not to look at the so-called optimal solution, because the optimal solution in some scenario doesn't mean much. You need to make it work, first of all. Secondly, you need to make it work fast, right? So I think that kind of people, if you bring to your organization, can change people's thinking process. Of course, this has to be blessed by your management. Otherwise, it will be kicked out very quickly, right? People might protect their own turf, only hire their own kind of business people or IE people. So I think that's really important. It's somebody who can change the culture and thinking process, right? Then the management need to make these people be in charge of something. They cannot be the engineer who give you a solution and then other people implement this. You have to make them hopefully interact directly with your customer and then work directly with your business side. So they can see these things are working, right? By working directly, sometimes you need maybe help from the other 5 teams. But I think this is a really important process that everybody can see this is working. And then now eventually people will wanting to work with you to make their own units better.
So if you have 2 people, there are 2 ways to kind of create those teams. One is to say we take the best athlete on each dimension. On the software dimension, we get the best athlete on the other dimension, and we mix them together, and that's how we get results. And the other approach is to say, let's take well-rounded people, and we're going to compromise a little bit on their software skills, but we're going to trade off these different skills, and we want to have people who can do all 3 things. Which of the 2 would you prefer?
I think usually we need both, but in the beginning, second approach is very important. If you have the best athletes, they don't talk to each other. That's the end of it, right? So you need to have the kind of this well-rounded people to come in first. And then if everybody is on the same page, they understand that we need to do this, then you can go out and find the best people to do a particular thing. But if you do the other way around, I think it normally will lead to a disaster.
Great. So I'm going to move to a more technical dimension. One of the key, I think, advantages of your approach is that you have explainable AI. It's not a black box, so people can understand where it came from. It was not entirely clear to me when you explain it. The question is that an interactive explanation? Or when I get the results, I can see the weights are this and this and this, and then I can come back to the system and have another prompt and so on.
Yeah.
More generally, how does that process work of reconciling the automated recommendations from the system, or maybe their decisions in some cases, and what domain experts want to do? How do you do that? How do you manage that?
Yeah. Great question. I think we for the 2 different approaches, I think we do both of them, depending on whether it's something that need the buy-in from different people, right? So you teach in the business, you probably do production planning, material planning, all this. In the textbook we just make up a number and tell everybody to do it. But in practice, with things, especially nowadays, demand keep on changing and all that. You need to very almost real time to get different units on the same page. So this way, this one is that we have to do very interactive discussion about this. For example, one of the truck break down, one of the warehouses have a strike, this kind of thing. then you need to adjust your number, right? With this, so before all this disruption happens, we do get people in the same room. We say, look, this is, as I explained before, those are the major factors. We think, next month our total inventory ordering should be this number, and then hopefully everybody will be in the same page. Even if not, you remember we have a range, right? So you can adjust the range to hopefully get everybody in the same box. But we try to make this range as small as possible. And then, if somebody strongly disbelieves this, you have to take down just like machine learning, you have to take down his belief. He believes next year some of the things will go over the roof. Oh, you eventually you worked, and then after many data points, you have credit for this each person, right? And then their input will be weighted. So it's really a culture thing, but with everybody on the same page, you can react to disruptions or abnormal events much quickly. So that's kind of the first part. Do you have a second part of the question?
So I think they're related, and I think you answered both of them really. So
Okay.
That's great. Different question. How do you generate the synthetic data, and how do you know that it works well?
Yes, this is actually very technical, right? So, in fact, to tell the truth, when we first work on our large model using our own data, it actually did not work well. Why? Because there are so many dirty data. If you look at the raw data, there are many of the data are not proper, and they're missing data. It's not coherent and all that. So then we plug in the public data. It doesn't have much. So now is the AI plays a role. So we will look at we have been ordering this product for 3 years, right? We'll look back at different ordering and see what happens. If some of the decisions, some of the ordering quantity bring in good result, we are learning all this. Then we can generate some of the data that are similar. You change some conditions and then they will spit out a similar answer. We put this kind of data into the system. Those are the good things you can learn. And then after we get rid of the bad data from the original data, eventually the result is much better.
Right. So we have an audience question. The question is,
Okay.
how is JD dealing with the US tariffs? And I will broaden the question and ask, think about this as an exogenous shock. How do you feed the shock like that into the system?
So I guess that's a political question. I guess our leadership.
Yeah, we can focus on my question.
Yeah, but this is, you can, as you mentioned, you can think of this as a huge disruption to your system, right? So in fact, at JD.com, something you probably don't know, I didn't share with you yet. In a big city in China, in Beijing, many of the big cities, if you order something in the morning, like before 10 a.m., you will get it in the afternoon, right? So I lived in the Bay Area for 20 years. I never have this kind of luxury of getting this product the same day, unless you pay $200, right? So how come we can do this? Actually, that's the slackness in the system. Okay. And second factor is that we actually do a very good inventory repositioning. So before Professor Mendelson order, we know, look at your historical order, you probably want to buy an iPhone in September. We probably will ship this iPhone next to you. Okay. So with this, what I'm trying to say is that we have so much data intelligence, and we try to protect the future disruption. Not the tariff is one thing, but there are the snowstorms, there are bad weather here and there. We can easily buffer a few days, up to a week or 2 weeks the disruption. In fact, our inventory level is very high in the overall system. That's why we can ship products from different warehouses, from the closest warehouse to you, so that you can reach you in 1 day. So we are well planned. We do have take into consideration of this kind of disruption, but not at the tariff level. It may be much longer than a few weeks. But if it's a few weeks, a couple of months, I think we have a very efficient way to do this.
And do you simulate future scenarios going out years and years to do long-range planning?
We do. We have a very good simulator. Actually, it's almost like a digital twin. It's like a real system. We stress test many of the different scenarios. But for a business to run well, you have to consider cost. So we would make it the right kind of balance. We will make sure we have the resilient supply chain. But on the other hand, we don't want to incur too much cost. So that's a business decision from the senior management.
So I want to go back to one of the things that you said. You talked about the ability to predict people's behavior based on their past performance. And I'm assuming that for statistical aggregates of many people, you can get a very good forecast. Now, can you actually do that at an individual level? And can you remind the person, you forgot to order your toothpaste?
I mean, certainly, if you have enough data, you can do a lot of things, right? So we can, yes, at the beginning we do this category thing, a girl working in a big firm with, living in a downtown area, her buying pattern would be very different from somebody who live in a rural area. But we have the membership thing. Amazon has the membership too. If you're a membership we know your history, and with so many data points and similar purchasing patterns in your group, we can actually pretty well forecast your future behaviors. We will surprise you.
So you have a physical twin of each customer?
In fact, we have a campaign
I'm sorry, a digital twin.
So in fact, we have a kind of campaign several years ago called 1,000 People, 1,000 Faces. So that means, we will basically draw every person's behavior like we draw their face. You can immediately see they are different.
So this is very impressive. Have you ever thought about selling this software, adding a software vertical or like, service of that type, AI service to one of JD's businesses?
Oh, certainly. I mean, this is certainly the planning. Right as of now, because the technology is evolving so quickly, we are busy fine-tune our tools. But we do want to, first of all, help our partners, our ecosystem. Amazon have the fulfillment by Amazon. We will do something similar to benefit our partners who are in our ecosystem. But why not? I think we have probably will have the best big model for e-commerce. We have so much rich data, and then our training has been taken into all the different successful history. I think we are thinking about that, but not immediately. Not immediately.
That's great. So in the meanwhile, can you tell people in companies that would like to get that kind of capability, but they have to develop it themselves, what are the top 3 lessons from your experience for other large companies?
Mm-hmm. So as we mentioned earlier, I think first of all, a team, people. I think if you don't have the right people, you cannot get things done, right? And secondly, the leadership. The leadership have to embrace this change, and then not only just embrace it, but also try to facilitate the hiring of these people, give them high salary, reward them properly. Because as you know, people who know this now, they can easily find a job in the Bay Area with the package better than Stanford professor, right? So we have to kind of compete for these people. So talents, leadership, and then I think the kind of coordination among different units of the company. it's never a kind of a single action from a particular unit. You have to get every unit within your company to be on the same page. That's what I said about the third thing, that they have to have coordination among different units to hire the right people to work with them. Not say, oh, this AI guy is belong to the sales team. I don't want to work with them. I'm the business side business team. That will hinder the development of the AI technology in your company.
That's great. Thank you very much for a fascinating presentation. And
thank you.
We conclude. What I'd like to do is share a quick preview of the next event in our speaker series. On June 27th, we're going to host Joe McMurrow, who is the Vice President of Supply Chain Transformation at Cisco. As many of you know, Cisco is a global technology leader. In this session, Joe will discuss how Cisco is leveraging AI across its global supply chain. He will highlight key use cases and lessons learned. Joe will also share his vision for what's next in the company's AI evolution. We look forward to seeing you in this upcoming session. And now I'll hand it back to Barchi for a few final remarks.
Thank you, Haim, and many thanks to Professor Shen and to Dr. Qi for a fascinating discussion. As I mentioned earlier, we ask that you please take a moment to complete our brief survey. You can access it easily using the QR code displayed on the screen. We also encourage you to use the link shown on the right to access the Value Chain Innovation Initiative website, to learn more about our next event, and to access the recordings of all our past events. And with that, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you in future events.